You've probably heard of good stress and bad stress, right? Well, there's another idea I want to ask you to dump. There's no such thing as good stress. It's all bad. We mean something else, which I'll explain in a moment, but there's stress, and that will, in the end, kill you. Stress comes from fear, which is the same thing as motivation, because it comes from fear as well. And stress, if you look at it, and the fear, if you look at that too, as the sort of combination here, on the left, what you'll see in this diagram is the biochemical effect of fear. When I use language like I'd kill for something or I want to die for something, we activate the emotional centers of the brain. They in turn release stress hormones into the body. That shuts down our immune system. This leaves us vulnerable to disease and burnout, and that creates stress. We're literally and physically feeling ill. Let me show you the emotional side, which is on the other side of this little diagram. When we're frightened, we're always doing one of two things. We're either growing or decaying. When we're frightened, we can't grow, because what we're trying to do is survive. And all of our fear and flight mechanisms come into play, so we start to decay. When we decay, our skills, when they decay, they lead to impotence. And impotence, in turn, leads to low self-esteem. When we lose our skills, we feel poorly about ourselves. And low self-esteem leads to loss of control, and that leads to stress. See how that works? So the language we're using and the way we're using it and the metaphors and the stories we tell each other are actually creating toxic chemistries in our body. It's no accident that, for instance, people who love what they do and are inspired are never sick. It's no accident either that when we're with someone who speaks the language of aggression and war all the time with us, and though we may like them a great deal and respect them, we can't explain why when we leave that we're not inspired. And the answer is because it's subconscious. It's something we don't know about, and most of us don't know the science about. Let me show you the opposite now. When we say good stress, what we actually mean is exhilaration. When we love something or love doing something or love someone, we're exhilarated. And when we're exhilarated, here's what happens. On the left side, same part of the diagram, same part of the brain is activated, excepting here, we activate different chemistries altogether, different biochemicals in the body. And this activates the immune system. It doesn't suppress it. This leads to the high that we talk about, the runner's high, the healer's high, and so on. And this inspires us. This is exhilarating. On the emotional side, when you love something, the first thing you do is you learn more about it. If you love playing the violin, you take violin lessons. And learning leads to mastery. We'll talk more about that later. Mastery, greater the mastery, the greater the self-esteem. The higher the self-esteem, the more control we have. Control leads to inspiration and exhilaration. See how that works? So I want to ask you to think about the language you use, because if you want to be inspiring, use language that fires the chemistry in the body that inspires.